Welcome to Advent of Tessellations 2023. I'm Madonna Yoder, and I hope you will join hundreds of origami folders around the world in folding this daily challenge to increase your origami tessellation folding skills, so the twists and repeating patterns folded all from a single sheet of paper. Welcome back to Advent of Tess. This is day 13. We're going to be folding this pattern that I call Dispersal because all of these rhombi look like they're running away from the central hexagon. And in this pattern, we're going to use closed hexagons, open triangles, and open rhombi, all on opposite sides from their neighbors. So it's a bit of a opposite from the previous few that we've been doing. We haven't done the open rhombus yet, so I'll make sure to really introduce that. And there's also the what twists are used in Advent of Tess video up on my YouTube channel that I highly recommend if you want to practice these twists on their own. So let's go ahead and jump in. We've got a closed hexagon twist to start. And so our mountain folds are going to go directly to the corners of the hexagon that we're using for our grid. And one of the things that I'm making sure of as I'm going around is that that first fold didn't go too far. So I'm free to set up the final pleat when I get to the end. Getting my hexagon kind of tower in place, I'm going to bop it, grab it, twist it around. It's going to look ugly, but that's not a mistake. We just need to smooth things out and make sure that all of our folds actually are on the grid lines. And the faster you twist, the better your chances are of getting a clean squash. And then from there, we're going to continue the theme of high density that we've been doing the last couple days. And but we're going to flip over and do that high density on the opposite side. So I know in last year's Advent of Tess, we did a lot of high density with the closed hexagon with those triangles on the same side. This year, we're flipping it over. So we're going to be doing the maximum density possible, which means that our valley for the next pleat is going to come right next or right underneath the existing folded mountain. Our mountain is going to go one spacing further, and since we're using open triangle twists, we're going to have our target open triangle sitting on top of that mountain. So bringing this new pleat into being, I'm opening the existing pleat so that I can find the third grid line that outlines this target central triangle. My valley fold goes further out from that triangle rather than straight in and touching the triangle. And I'm going to press down, particularly on these two pleats that I have access to. The central hole will hold for itself. And I'm going to press hard to squash this twist. Now, as far as what order around I'm going to go, well, my next twist is back on the hexagon side. It's the opposite side from this one. So I'm going to go clockwise so that my pleat overlaps will be unfriendly on this side, but friendly and easy to open on the other side. Now I'm coming to the next pleat. And what I need to remember is that I have a pleat hidden under this triangle. That is the one I'm going to work with next. So I can set up my spacing with my valley right at the folded mountain, mountain one spacing further and target triangle up in there. If I want to, I can reorder this to see a bit better. And I'm going to set up my new pleat going off to the right, erase the extension of the old pleat as I set up this third pleat that's going right under the corner of the existing twist, whose pleat I kept fully folded as I folded my new pleat through. So that's a key. Anything we're not actively making a twist on stays fully folded. So now that we've seen it with a neighbor, I'm going to move a little bit faster, setting up the new twist and squashing. So I'm setting the spacing here with my right hand, making sure the existing pleat that I'm going to cross is fully folded, and running the third pleat directly under the corner of the existing twist and squash. So set up, make sure the neighborhood is stable, get the right size, fully start laying it down and squash. And for this final one, just like we've been doing with the triangles, I'm going to run my new pleat through first, get that fully in place, and let the old pleat run through after. And I may need to set up my third grid direction before that old pleat will lay down flat. And then I can squash my last triangle twist for this piece. So this start of 6 open triangles around the closed hexagon as dense as possible, so flagstone spacing, this will show up again in the day 24. But we'll be doing variations on it. Like the next 2 days are going to use a open hexagon in the middle and then the densest possible spacing of open triangles. So flipping over, now I have these intersections, and like I kind of hinted at earlier, this is a triangle flagstone pattern. If we wanted to continue the triangle flagstone pattern, we would be putting closed hexagons here. We could do other patterns with open hexagons. We could do any variety of things. And actually doing the open hexagons could be pretty cool with a extended symmetry, but distraction. So we're going to have a open rhombus twist right here. So if I go to open this up, what's happening with the open rhombus? So if you watched my intro to twists used in Advent of Tess, you'll know that the open rhombus has an anvil shape in the middle. And as I open up, I notice that I've got this in one, out one, just like an edge of the open hexagon. And then this line continues flat. So that is outlining part of my anvil. And so I can then set up my remaining mountain folds. So I've got the parallel mountain on top and bottom, and this one is coming in this way, so it's going to jump over and come out the same direction. And since this is so close to the edge, what I'm going to do is squash half of my open rhombus first. You'll notice that half of the open rhombus looks just like an open triangle, and that is no coincidence. And then I'm going to squash the outer half now that the inner half is stable. And now I'm going to come around, and I have choices here. So I can go clockwise or counterclockwise. If I go clockwise, I know that I don't have extra layers in here. I'm not going to be folding on top of things like I would be if I went the other direction. So I'm going to go clockwise, and I can learn from my previous twist that this is going to be some of the outline of my central anvil, and I can set up, okay, I have a mountain coming in here. I need to find the bit of the anvil that's parallel coming out the other side. Likewise for these pleats on the long sides of the anvil. And here again, I'm going to emphasize the inner half, so the more central half first, and then emphasize folding out to the edge of the paper. And repeat. You may still find that you need to draw the central anvil on, but what we're looking for is, so you can think of it as visually I'm looking for the anvil, or you can think of it as the pleat coming more out from the center needs to jump 2 steps up, 2 grid spacings up, and the pleat coming more around the center needs to hop 1 step, 1 grid spacing out. And memorizing these things for me is harder than remembering the anvil shape, so I just go with the anvil. But whatever is easiest for you is what you should do. And 2 more. Just like we saw in the last 2 days with this structure of hexagon, then triangle, then resolve the pleat overlaps with rhombi, there's no further interaction, so you can kind of popcorn around and do whichever ones in whichever order you like. Although with this particular arrangement of hexagon, triangle, and rhombus, we did have some folding over existing layers if you went in one particular direction or had an unfolded neighbor on one particular side, is really the precise way of saying it. And there we have it. So this one is called Dispersal. And if you'd like to see how I would use this element, this central start, in a bigger tessellation, check out my Instagram channel at Gathering Folds, and on YouTube as well. And there's also lots and lots of crease patterns in the tessellation garden, the portal where I put all of my newest and, well, where I put all of my crease patterns, not just the newest or most interesting. So definitely check out those options, and happy folding, and I'll see you for tomorrow's challenge.